Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Well, we're about to embark on 2026, and we hope that it'll be a better year for everyone. More freedom, more relaxation, more peace, more love and happiness and health. And hopefully, the governments of the world, as stupid as they are, would recognize that life is short and they should stop being greedy and stop trying to force each other, control each other, dominate each other, and live and let live, for heaven's sake. So, having said that, we're going to be talking for a bit in regards to your questions about breakups and mental clarity and how to proceed and move on from your breakup. And we talk about OCD and HOCD, intrusive thoughts, repetitive thoughts, and what are the tools that we may be able to use in order to rewire our brain through neuroplasticity from these sort of attacks and deficiencies or disorders that we're all subjected to in this world of about 9 billion people, or 8.5 and a bit. I have a wonderful cocoa that I made with honey, cocoa powder, 100%, plus almond milk and hot water. Perfect balance. So while you put your questions together, hopefully we'll have some questions so we can have this continued discussion. Now, we have a few questions on YouTube. We are simultaneously broadcasting and having a live streaming on YouTube and TikTok. And YouTube, we have Stephen. Stephen says, hello, Meron. I just saw your live and would like to say hello. Well, thank you very much, Stephen, for giving us your energy. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. And you've come to more of a clarity about your powers and your special talents and decisions that you can make. As wise as you are, I trust that you will make the right decision and you will help yourself to have a little bit more fun and loosen up this year instead of thinking about someday in future this will happen and that should happen before I'm happy. The problem with all of us is that we are always looking for someday in the future for me to be happy. And that future doesn't exist at the moment. And we are forgoing every chance that we have in the present moment to make it that future that we're hoping for. And instead, we prefer to wait instead of changing things to make that what we're waiting for to happen right now today. We either are in the memory in the past and ruminating, or we are hoping for someday that there would be no problems whatsoever on that day so we can be happy as we wish it to be. But remember, there will never be a day when there would be no problems. There will always be some issue that could make you say, oh, okay, I'll wait until this issue is also away. Then I'll start enjoying my life and have a good vibration and think about good stuff. No, you need to do that. If you want to change your life, you got to change yourself first. So meaning, to change yourself means to bring your mind into present moment, not in the past, not in the future, right now. And focus on the efforts that you're making, because the efforts that you're making in a moment is the same as being in the present, because the efforts cannot be made in the past or in the future. Efforts are actuality. Efforts is something that you do. I cannot be drinking this cocoa and thinking that this is future. If I'm drinking this cocoa, that means this is now. I'm here. If I'm focused on drinking the cocoa, that means I'm in the present moment. So the effort, whatever it is, drinking cocoa, making something, building something, going somewhere, if you are present in that effort, then that is the way you will be in the present moment. Now, do this exercise with someone, a friend of yours or whatnot. Just stand straight and relaxed, and have your friend push you on the chest, right side or left side of the chest, somewhere here, chest and shoulder between the two here, without too much force, but just enough to see if you wobble or not. And you, while he or she is trying to do that test for you, think about something in the past. Schooling, some exam you were taking 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago or 10 years ago, or some adventure or something that was not so pleasant, but it was in the past. And then see the effect of your balance when your friend pushes with some normal push, not anything drastic or not anything that you won't feel it. And see how much you wobble. And then relax and think of the present moment of your breathing. Focus on your breathing, the flow of air going into your nostrils, and focus on that. And the way it flows in and the way it flows out. And then have your friend do the same thing. Same force, same amount, not more, not less. And see which one is more solid. When you're in the present moment, when you're focusing on an activity, on an effort that you're making in the present moment, such as focusing on your breathing, because happening is now, then you will be in the now. When you're in the now, your mind is now here, and your body is here, because it's been here, it's a physical thing, it's here, and the mind and body will be coordinated. When mind and body is coordinated, amazing things happen. Higher vibration. At the same time, the exercise that we have in Aikido, it actually, you can defy gravity. In other words, if somebody can lift you up by putting their hands under your arms, lift you up when you're thinking about the past or thinking about something that is negative, and then second later you will be thinking about something positive, and some point in the lower abdomen, you focus your mind on that point, hypothetical point, lower your navel, you will see that the person cannot lift you up. Same person that the minute ago lifted you up. So amazingly, you notice that if you're in the present moment, mind and body is coordinated, you become one with the universe, one with the energy of the universe, and you become much bigger than you think, because you become part of the whole. You become one with the whole, and nobody can lift the whole. Now, you can do the same thing with being in the now. If you focus on an effort like you're breathing, that same thing could happen. The person cannot lift you up. Or you can think about you wiggling your toes and think about the tip of your toes that in your shoes, or barefoot you're standing and you're just feeling your toes in your mind. That's effort in the present moment. Again, that person cannot lift you up. So being in the present moment, many things happen. First of all, you'll be aligned with the vibration of the universe, which makes you become part of the universe, one with the universe, one with the whole. There will be no dividing factor between you and the universe. And suddenly your abilities, your positivities, your hope, and everything else exponentially goes higher. And after that exercise, if you do the same efforts when you're sitting and closing your eyes and meditating on these sort of things, just your breathing alone, after you open your eyes, you feel much happier, stronger, hopeful, and the higher vibration and the more and good, wonderful things will come to you, opportunities. Now, having said that, and Stephen says, okay, good. And we have Manish Kadam, 8247. Now, don't forget, guys, let me know your age, gender, where you're tuning in from. Age, gender, where you're tuning in from. So I have an idea who you are, where you are, you know, so I can address you properly according to your age, according to your gender, and at the same time, I know how far we're reaching, where you're tuning in from. He says, "Hi, Miran, I'm from India. After a long time, are you make more videos? We are missing you, sir." Well, thank you very much for your kind energy. Well, on the YouTube, I have over 3,000 videos. These 3,000 videos are a combination of things to do with breakups and how you can bring balance back to you after your breakup, and how to deal with the things that you feel or think and go through after your breakup. And it's about topic of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, HOCD, sexual orientation OCD, intrusive thoughts, and how to rewire the brain, and the techniques that the scholars and scientists have talked and experienced. And we can talk about that. So I have that many videos there. There is really not much else I can say. Sometimes I come up with some things, which tonight I was writing some stuff that I was thinking about could be helpful. It was mostly regarding our reactions to people's actions and utterings and behavior, and the way it affects us and how we react to it by excitement, anger, or however it affects us negatively. And I was going into the roots of it. Why is it? What is our mindset that we react to something so extraordinarily that affects our own stress level or blood pressure, versus how we should cognitively understand what is the best way we should react, and why is it that we react the way we do? Because it's not necessary to react that way. But what is it that triggers us and makes us feel that reacting in that way, that brings stress to ourselves, is actually something we got to do, or something that needs to be done? What's the roots of it? And these are the things that I was writing tonight, and maybe someday I will have enough time to put it together in the form of a video, and we'll share it with you. And Manish Kadam says, "Hey, whenever I need your help, I watch your videos. It always helps me. Thanks a lot. You're quite welcome. My pleasure." And Stephen says, "Male, 45, Los Angeles." Thank you for that, Stephen. I wish everybody would do that. All right, let's see who we have here on TikTok. If you have any questions on TikTok, usually I don't get any questions from TikTok, but when I close the TikTok, it says you had 2 comments or something. I never saw those comments. I don't know where they are. There's so many people here say hi or join, but I see those, but I don't see questions, if there is any, which later on we'll find out there was. See, I can't see it. I mean, I don't know what's the system of the TikTok, that it's not like YouTube, or I'm streaming from StreamYard, which is connected now for YouTube. It clearly shows me where the comments are. But here, I don't see the comments. It says, no, I don't see the comment. I just see people's names, and it just says they joined. If anybody knows how to deal with it, let me know, so I won't miss your questions. It says, I just want to sing. I just want to sing. 7 says, my friend Jenna is in an argument, and can you say I support Gina's side? I can't say that because I don't know what Gina is saying. How can I say? I don't know. Maybe Gina is saying something that is not supportable, according to, I don't know, somebody or my view. Andrew says, would you rather watch a muscle growing or a gain? I don't know what that means. Come on, guys. You guys are here, and all you can do is just making such comments, some questions for us to talk about. All right, then I guess there's nothing here. And then I can go to YouTube and see if we have any questions there. All right. So Captain Barca from YouTube says, hey, sir, I have HOCD and it really started at age 19, but I had a short episode of it at 14. Now my OCD is using the first time against, like saying 14 is too young to know sexuality. Look, I don't know exactly what your question is, but you shouldn't worry about what you were feeling or thinking at 14, because at 14, nobody knows anything. You're just curious about anything, and you have all the questions, and it has no meaning. It doesn't matter what you felt, what you didn't feel. That is not in your among your choices, is not your preference, so it doesn't matter. At age 19, yeah, many people feel that way, and then they understand the glitch of the brain can hit anyone. It hit me at age 63, but I was old school, and I never thought of it as any sexual alteration or change. I just thought, oh, to my values, that's not interesting to me. So why is it here? How can I fix this? Because it doesn't interest me and it's not in my values. So I was focusing on how I can make the brain to function as it did, because I knew there's some glitch, instead of thinking, oh, it's me. Because many young people don't realize, and especially because they're young, and so many of different topics of conversation in regards to sexuality is out there in so many different tangents that confuses the hell out of them, rather than allowing themselves to gradually grow into whatever their nature is. But for us older people, we've lived for a long time where there were so much of discussions about these sort of things. So our brain were not really introduced to fall into a glitch of intrusive thoughts or other options that some people's nature is. So those questions would not bombard us, because it wasn't talked so much outside in the mediums to create an inventory of information in our heads. And the brain's job is to make thoughts. It doesn't know what thought is your choice or not choice, just makes thought with whatever information inventory has come to to be exposed to. So for me, it was like, okay, what's the glitch? How can I fix this? So my research was on how I can make the brain not to come up with these sort of things. And usually these things come about when you're stressed or when you're fearful of a certain outcome in your life and you have responsibilities and so on. And then some kind of a fear of changing your positions in life, and your ability to provide, and all the things that you're going through, the businesses and commercial activities could cause certain things like that. In different ages, different type of stresses, different types of occupation of the brain. And especially these days, millions and millions and millions of young or old people, mostly young people, are dealing with these sort of OCD and intrusive thoughts and HOCD and so on, because there's so much of this topic is being discussed out there, which is not necessarily interesting to other people whose nature is not of that tangent. But the brain doesn't see it that way. Brain doesn't care. Brain says, well, I just saw some waterfall, so I'm going to make thought about waterfall. Or I just saw some, I don't know, pizza making place, so I'm going to make thoughts about pizzas. I just heard on the news that there's a war somewhere, so I'm going to make thoughts about wars. I just heard on the news and mediums so often talking about different sexualities and genders, so I'm going to make thoughts about these sort of things. And because you are not interested in that particular topic or choices, your nature is not made that way. Some people's nature is made that way. Because yours is not, that would be the sensitive spot for you to protect that, what you are, and defend what you are against what you are not. And the brain knows that in a way of sending emotional danger signals while there is no such danger, but it wants to protect you. So overactive amygdala and the malfunction of the caudate nucleus in the striatum in midbrain basal ganglia causes they don't do their job, which is decimate and disappear the intrusive thoughts that are not in line with your values. So therefore, brain makes these suggestions in order to protect you, but because there's malfunction of certain mechanism in your brain to dissipate the intrusive thoughts once they are recognized by you, then there's a job of caudate nucleus to shut it down and go about your business. You notice it, but it shuts it down and you go about your business. When there is a malfunction and the brain is trying to protect you, you have an overactive amygdala, it creates that danger signal, and prefrontal cortex gives it a narrative, which is the only narrative that it thinks is important to you, because the danger signal came, but there is no narrative to it. It's just the signal of alarm. And prefrontal cortex says, well, there is no message with it. So what is this alarm? My owner should be aware of some alarm. So how can I bring his attention? So he gives it a narrative based on what's the most important thing to this owner. And what's the most important thing to every one of us is our sexuality. So it gives a narrative of sexuality to it. And because caudate nucleus is not working well, is malfunctioning, the intrusive thought or suggestion of the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala signature hovers instead of being dissipated after it's been produced and recognized by caudate nucleus. So it hovers. And when it hovers, you say, oh, it didn't disappear, so it must mean something. Or then maybe it's about me. Or then maybe I'm changing. And that whole, the more you become sensitive about it and probe on why is it here, what does it mean, the more the brain learns that to make more of these thoughts. Because the more you pay attention to a certain line of thinking, that's how the brain gets practice of neuroplasticity and gets a signal of making more of these, because it gets more energy from you. And the brain wants to say, I am you. Brain wants to say, I am you. So makes things that brings your attention to it, and you fight with it, you resent it, or you discuss it, and it gets energy, and that energy makes the brain thinks it's alive. That's another topic, another tangents of why brain does that. So all of that is why you feel this way, and many millions and millions of people in the world have these sort of glitches. But then good news is that through science and through works of scholars such as Dr. Schwartz and many other experts, Dr. Jan Weiner and so on, they all, for works of Dr. Sperry, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Libet, Dr. Owens, they're all neurosurgeons, and they have come to understanding and explaining what is the brain made out of, what is its function, and what are its what are the things that it cannot do, and we misunderstand its function. And so we now are clear how to rewire the brain through neuroplasticity by simple way of reacting to these sort of thoughts, which helps us to get rid of this glitch. So, having said that, that was a long talk. I just wanted to mention what we talk about. Oh my goodness, this tastes so good. Did you know that if you drink 2 cups of cocoa every day, one during the day, one during the night, and if that cup is, and it's not about the sugar content of it, but cocoa itself causes stem cells to be 50%, produce 50% more. The more stem cells we have, the more repairs automatically takes place in our body. So cocoa is good for you. I'm not talking about the sugar content. If you can do it with less sugar, like I put a little bit, like 1 teaspoon of honey, and 1 whole amount of, half of it is almond milk, half of it is hot water, and 1 tablespoon of, not fully full, but tablespoon of cocoa, makes it good. Now, let's see if we have any questions here in TikTok. For the life of me, if I didn't have to look for the questions, and somewhere here I could push and see all the questions rather than mix with all the people who joined, it would save time. Like I get it right on YouTube. So Tanya is here. Tanya says, I have 35 years old, female. And Tanya, where are you from? Where are you located? Please share that with me as well. Says, I have homosexual thoughts and groinal responses, and I don't want it in my life. You wrote me that if I would be really gay, I don't will recognize it like it's something strange. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. It says, in childhood, I have some thoughts and feelings like that, but I don't feel good with it. Maybe it's because of culture. But now I don't even stay in that thought, even if I would want to stay. After SSRI, I have better periods, even 8 months, like it goes away for 8 months. And when I have that time in laughing about this topic. Okay. Yeah, because selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, SSRI, actually relaxes your components of the brain in many ways, so your reactions would not be so overly, and so your natural nature will be able to have the chance to control and function the way it always did. And Tanya says, I'm from Poland. Okay. I wish I knew something to say in Polish, like hello. Maybe just hello. Okay. So, first of all, childhood doesn't matter. In childhood, we all have questions. We have no idea what is what. And so don't question anything that happened or you did or you felt like in childhood. In regards to groinal response and all that, I have a video, in fact. I have about 1,000 videos on HOCD and OCD and intrusive thoughts. One of them is particularly about groinal response. And let me see if I can find that and put the link here for you. If you go on my channel, if any of you go on my channel, and in the search engine of my channel, not search engine of the YouTube, search engine of my channel on YouTube, you put a word that explains what you're looking for, you should be able to see a list of things. For example, I put groinal in the search engine. It says, does groinal response worry you? The other one I have groinal response in 1 minute, HOCD. And the other one I have HOCD groinal response 23 minutes. Well, I'm going to put all three of them here, the links, so you can have these links and enjoy watching them at your leisure. This one, then we have this other one. This one is groinal response in 1 minute. I don't know what I've said. I got to look at. It's not actually 1 minute. It's 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Why did I say 1 minute? Okay, there it is. That's the second one. And then the third one is this one. It says, does groinal response worry you? All right, I don't know what I've said in there either, but nevertheless, here it is. So 3 of them for you, for your enjoyment. But again, I've got so much stuff on this channel that you can. And Tanya says, I found you on TikTok 30 minutes ago. Oh, that was the first time you actually found me. Yeah, we talked on TikTok for a second. I remember that. So these are the 3 things. But, if you just go on my YouTube channel and click on playlists and then choose intrusive thoughts, OCD, HOCD playlist, or HOCD playlist, all these have so many videos which you can then look at the list and choose the one that you would like to have more information. And remember, guys, I have one app that I already published a few weeks ago on Google. It's about breakups, relationships and breakups, how to get back your balance and move on to bigger and better things and move on from that breakup and the mentality and the things that you want to find out. And the second app is about to come to be published probably within a month. We are in the last legs of having it all done and approved. And that's OCD, HOCD app. The way the app works is that there is an introductory video on each one of these 2 apps. It will tell you how the app works. For example, on HOCD or the breakup app, you go on the app, you don't pay anything for now. You'll see that there are at least 5 chapters or 5 cluster of questions. Each cluster or each chapter has 20 questions in regards to breakups or in regards to HOCD. Depends on which app you're using. You will look at all these 20 questions in one cluster, and you look at another cluster or chapter, another 20 question, you look at another chapter, you look at all chapters free to see all the 20 questions in each chapter. And you will find one chapter that has most of the questions that you have questions on and you want answered. So you choose that cluster, then you pay for it. Once you paid for it, the chapter allows you to answer the questions, yes or no. And based on all the yeses that it receives on the questions, let's say on all 20 questions you said yes, then it will give you 20 pre-recorded books or audiobooks or recording, not books, recording, that you can hear my response or my explanation about that particular questions that you answered yes, I like to know this, or I like to know more about this, or whatever it was. And then when it finishes, you will have maybe something, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours of different questions answered for you, which is much cheaper than making an appointment with me on my site, mind-that-seeks-truth.com, where you pay $150 for 90 minutes of discussion live, which would be more tailored to particular questions that you want to discuss. However, 24/7, anywhere from the world, you can access this app to answer your questions, and most of your questions gonna be there. If it's not, then it will be on the next chapter, which you can choose that few days later or whatever. And each chapter has its own different fee. And then if you still wanted to talk to me, then you can go on my site, mind@sixtruth.com, and make an appointment, and we'll talk specifically about question answers that you might be having live. But most often, the app will take care of your immediate needs of answering and knowledge and information that you want in regards to the topic of breakup or the HOCD. And that will be very helpful. I think it will help lots of people. At the same time, it's not going to be taking too much time to make an appointment and arrange the time difference and set up the day and date. It'll be immediate for you, and you get that out of your system as you wish it on that day. All right. What else do we have here? Again, I cannot see any. Snackman says, can I join your live? I have a question. You're there. You just put the question in and I'll read it. You don't have to ask. This is why we're here. You can put your comment here, and if I can see that question, which I have a hard time seeing the questions here, I can see the people who join. And Snackman requested to join as a guest. No, I'm sorry. I mean, this is not a open forum for people to host. You can join and ask your question, but you don't have to be a host. And for example, I don't understand why TikTok is suggesting invite so-and-so to co-host. Why would I do that? How would they know what I want to talk about? Or how could they be specialized in the topic that I'm discussing? So I don't know what this suggestion of TikTok is based on what? I mean, what does TikTok know about whose specialty is and what they can help or not? All right, let's see if you have any question. Okay. No, I don't see any question from anybody else either. Okay. All right, let's see what we have here on YouTube. And Captain Braka says, sir, we know that we are born with our sexuality, but my OCD, using my first time experiencing HOCD at 14 and saying you can't know sexuality at 14. Who says that? What do you mean you can't know? Your nature tells you, guides you what you're interested in, and therefore you behave the way you do. Now, one may be heterosexual or homosexual, and they still at young age could be having an interest in same gender or not, but that's not a sexuality orientation. That's just the curiosity of child who is looking for support and friends and to be accepted. And so emotions are high and they have no knowledge of what is what. They just want to be friends and love someone, like someone, love in the way of friendship, and to feel secure by having someone's energy and having someone's attention and friendship with them. And that emotion is not a sexual emotion. It's a love emotion, a need of being liked and accepted and loved. And children could confuse that with any sexual orientation or affiliation or attraction, but it's not. Especially when you're heterosexual, you're not thinking about necessarily the gender of the person. You're thinking about something that would cause you to feel something, and that could be a tree, a rock, an animal, or a same gender or an opposite gender. It's not about your sexuality, it's about what you are experiencing as far as the emotion that you like something or someone. And that should not be confused with your sexuality. Your sexuality is basically the baseline and what you're most interested and gravitating towards, which you wouldn't know it exactly if you're heterosexual about, oh, that's a girl I like because I like so many girls. You do, you may, but at the same time, if you don't, that's okay, because that's the age, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15, you begin to, your hormones and things will give you the clues. So don't be confused. Just let the nature guide you, and don't come to any, confusion in your mind because so many things are available or discussed about. All right. Tanya says if someone has other forms of OCD beside HOCD, such as POCD, ROCD, or harm OCD, is that evidence that this is just a disorder and not a real sexual? You don't have to have any other OCD but HOCD to know that this is HOCD. You don't have to have other OCDs to say, oh, because I have other OCD, so this one is also a sexual orientation OCD. This one is also OCD. But if I just have this, then maybe, no, don't confuse yourself with all that nonsense. You have one OCD or 10 OCD, it's still OCD. Doesn't make any difference. What tangent of OCD? It could be HOCD, it could be ROCD, it could be whatever OCD may be, but it doesn't have to be a bunch of them to convince you that this must be OCD as well, because you have these other OCDs. It's like saying, I don't know, I have to make sure I have a cold, I should also have a cough, I should also have diarrhea, I should also pee in my bed, I should also have, infection in my eye. Then I can be sure that I have a cold. And that's not my nature. It's just a cold. It will go away. No, you have a cold, you have a cold. It doesn't have to have so many arrays of disorders or diseases for you to know that this is also, therefore, is a malfunction or is a disease. You see, what you're seeking is assurances. And because you have different kind of OCDs, you want to say, oh, therefore, because I have a bunch of OCD, therefore, this is also an OCD. It's not my nature, the HOCD. I'm not a homosexual. I'm not of a gender that I don't want to be. You don't have to have all these other OCDs, and stop looking for assurances. It's simple. You're talking about it. Look, there is no awareness if there's no contradiction. There is never awareness if there is no contradiction. Because there is a contradiction between what the brain is suggesting and what your nature is, you become aware that there is something that I don't agree with. There's something that is not me. And that's because there's contradiction. And if there's a contradiction, then it's clear for you because you notice it, the awareness. If there was no awareness of what you're going through, then that would be your nature. That means there's no contradiction. It is your nature. But when you notice something is not what you want it to be or prefer to be or you're used to, then that tells you that is not the correct thing for you. It's a disorder. Simple. There's always a contradiction if there's an awareness. There is never an awareness if there's no contradiction. And now that you notice a contradiction, that means it is not your nature. So don't look for assurances. Now, Nico Metush says, thanks for all what you do. Help us, Nico from France. Oh, je vous en prie, de rien. So tell me what you're doing in France, Nico. And let me know your age. Ah, there it is. It says, good morning, Mehran. Mihan, you called me Mihan. It's M-O-H-R-A-N. M-O-H-R-A-N. Mehran. Or in English, Mehran. And what else do we have here? So we've answered all the questions there. We have no question on TikTok, as usual. TikTok friends are already saturated with that information. They don't need to have any questions. And we have Loy Marshall from Afghanistan. Welcome. And what else do we have here? Nothing. All right, guys, it's been 47 minutes and we have no more questions here. And perhaps it's time for me to call it a night. And we will hopefully have a live stream tomorrow night, which is the New Year. I mean, by the time I start the live stream, it's probably New Year in Europe. But nevertheless, I'll try to have a live stream tomorrow night and we'll spend the New Year together for the ones who don't have a plan to go out there, outside somewhere, or don't have a party going. So I look forward to that. So it's now time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to our next live stream. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon, tomorrow night. Good night.